Hi guys, top of the morning. Happy August 14th. Coming to you back in live from San Diego. We took an incredible vacation slash work trip to San Diego. And it was just one of those moments where you sit there and you sit in gratitude. Staying at the Hotel del Coronado. If you've never been to Coronado, please go there sometime in your life. If you've never been to the Hotel del Coronado, you must experience that hotel. Now, just a little bit of history for you. I don't want to go too far in the woods on this, but the person that wrote the Wizard of Oz got the idea of the Emerald City because from the attic when he was writing, he could see the Hotel del Coronado and all of its lights and all of its grandeur and all of its splendor. And so he created the Emerald City based on an inspiration that he had because he saw the Hotel Del. But it's a magical place. Royals used to come there. Marilyn Monroe would come there. They shot movies there. And, there's all kinds of history. It is absolutely beautiful. And you are at this giant resort. God, this place is remarkable. Must have taken years to complete this. They built it in 11 months. And when you think about that, the specs of the room, nowadays, when you build a hotel, all the specs are the exact same. Suites are a little bit bigger, but they all work in a certain dimension. All the rooms are different. The walkways are a little crooked, some places throughout the hallways. But this place was beautiful and magical. And to think that 22 years ago, I left San Diego living on the streets, now to come back with my family to stay at one of the most historic places in all of San Diego and to sit there and watch my son, the experiences that he's having. I never got to stay in places like that when I was 8 years old. You see, when I was 8 years old, a vacation consisted of us packing up a VW bus and going up the 8 freeway and going to the Colorado River and camping for a couple of days. And for us, that was a vacation. Well, life looks and feels a little bit different now. And for him, just to see the look on his eyes and to wear the captain's hat and go and have gelato and sit and look at all the lights and run around and be a kid and go out to the ocean. You guys, it's just one of those moments. I'm fully grateful to be able to share these experiences with my son and with my wife. Now, Angelo doesn't know. He just sleeps and drinks his bottle and all that. But he'll eventually be able to experience that and be able to be grateful as well. So that's how I'm coming at you guys today, just full of gratitude. I got here super early because I had a 6 a.m. call. As you guys know, I got to get on the road around 4 a.m. So your boy's been up for a little while. I'm excited. I'm going to turn it over to Glenn Riggs. Glenn Riggs, you're going to set the tone, set the sentiment, bring us out on the field on this beautiful, amazing, incredible Friday morning. So do what you do, big dog, and light them up. Let's roll.
So many of you have been with me for my son's journey. We are now 5 weeks into his 22 weeks at Discovery Challenge Academy. So it's a military-based academy. My son is 16 years old. He will come out of there with 65 credits when he's done and be back on track to graduate with his peers. So I got a call from DCA yesterday from Specialist Johnson, and he reached out to me, and he's the medic there at DCA, and he said, "Hey, we're trying to get your son's prescriptions filled, and we're having some challenges. They won't fill it for us. They need a parent to take care of that." And so I said, "Great. What can I do? What do I need to do?" And he said, "You have to go to the pharmacy and pick them up and then mail them to us." And I said, "Look, the pharmacy's in Lathrop because I had them filled near you. You're just across the freeway. Can I just take them to you?" And he said, "Yeah. But I have a meeting at noon, so I'm not available after noon." So, due to the liberty I have with being self-employed, I was able to stop my day, get in the car, haul my ass to Lathrop, get the prescriptions, take care of everything at the pharmacy, run them across the freeway, and meet the guard at the gate. And I had 2 letters that I was getting ready to mail. They were stamped, addressed, everything. And so I met the guard at the gate with the prescriptions and the 2 letters, and I handed them prescriptions. He goes, "You want me to take those letters to Brian too?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I gave him those letters. The coolest part was that he goes, "I saw your son today," when I gave him his morning meds. And I got to tell him, "I get to see your dad today." And he said his face just lit up. He got so excited. And then he said, "Do I get to see him too?" And Specialist Johnson had to tell him, "No, you don't get to see him, but I'll make sure that I'll give him whatever message you give me." And he said, "I miss him and I love him." And that right there is why I bust my ass in real estate. That right there is why I'm having a $6 million month. and my biggest month that I've ever had. So when you think about doing that extra job or getting the second job or going back to a job and that you can't do this work, think about the liberty that you are afforded by doing the work that we do. And it's not freedom, it's liberty, because there's a big difference. Liberty, you get to choose how you spend your time, your energy, and your money.
And I absolutely love that message because I think that there's always a misconception of, oh, that I'm going to have like all this freedom of time. But no, I think that you nailed it. This liberty to be able to have the choices to do the things that I want to do, brand myself the way that I want to brand myself, express myself the way that I want to express myself and my true intrinsic qualities. And my friend, I love that. And that's what this business can afford you, right? That's what this business can afford you. I couldn't imagine going to a 9 to 5 and having to be shackled. It's just not for me anymore. It's not for me anymore. Entrepreneurship is a beautiful thing, but you have to protect it and you have to do the work to support it. And so, Glenn, I really, really appreciate your sentiment on this. Really, really good stuff. And I appreciate you opening it up. And I'm glad that he's doing well, bro. I know it's hard on him. I know it's hard on you, but I'm glad that he is doing well.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys, there's a book that I want all of you to go and purchase. And the reason why I want you to purchase this book is because I want us all to read it together. But before I get into the book and before I give you the author, I want to talk to you about Navy SEALs. So in San Diego, there was a sign up to do a workout with Navy SEALs on the beach at 6 a.m. I didn't know any details. There was no agenda. There was no, you're going to do this amount of burpees. You're going to run. You're going to, nothing. They said, sign up, work out with the Navy SEALs, 6 a.m. Don't be late. Cool. Sign me up. I'm going to go. Right. And like there was 20 of us and we get out to the beach and we're just kind of, joking around and having some fun. And then the instructors come out and they tell us exactly what we're going to do. Mind you guys, it's 6 a.m. I had 1 cup of coffee. I'm doing my normal morning routine. I typically don't work out that early in the morning, but these guys are special ops, Green Beret, Navy SEALs, and they're telling us a little bit about what they do, their history, combat, all those things. I'm like, man, these guys are just cut up. And I'm like, this is going to be good. Well, the first thing that they have you do is they have you run on the beach. Now, when you're close to the sand or water, obviously it's a little bit more firm and you can get a footing when you're running. Well, they didn't have you start out your running on the beach. They had you start out on the sand. And you got to imagine running almost a mile on the sand. It is one of the hardest things I've ever done at 6 a.m. in the morning because it's really, really hard to run on the sand. It's just your steps are, your feet are so heavy. Well, anyways, we start out with that and you're dying and you're gasping. And then you start the circuits. Try doing burpees in sand. Okay. It's one of the hardest things. And I'm a big dude. Okay. Doing burpees in the sand is not for all of us. So doing burpees in the sand, sit-ups, then you had a plank, and then you had to do push-ups, and you had a plank until your running partner ran to a pillar and then came all the way back. And if you drop from your plank, guess what? He had to run it or she had to run it again. And so you had to go through all these different circuits. And then you had to team up with 4 people and you had to run burpees, sit-ups, push-ups, and then something else. And if one person failed, you had to go back and do it again. And just when you thought you're at your breaking point and you're sweaty and you can't catch your breath, they said, all right, we're going to run. It's going to be a little less time this time, but we're running. And then you had to run again. And then you had to go to the beach and do push-ups. You guys, it was one of the craziest things that I've ever done. But every step of the way, they said, this is not about you running an individual race. You have a running partner. This is where you have to look out for the person behind you. If you finish on your own and your people with you do not finish in your group, there's no glory in that. That means that you're out in the battlefield by your own. You do not leave your brothers and sisters behind. And so I always correlate experiences like this to business and say, you know what? How does this correlate to what we do? And when I was thinking about that, he said something. We were doing push-ups and he said, one person was to lead us out. And he said, all I want you to do is I want you to look up and I want you to look at all of your surroundings. Look at the people. Look who's struggling. Give encouragement. Look at the people to the left. Look at the people to the right, right? He's like, I need you to look up and look around you. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the situations and see what you can do to help the people in your environment. And I thought that that was the message that I needed to hear. Like, when do I need to pull my head up? When do you need to pull your head up? If you want to advise, mentor, guide, if you want to be there for your consumers, if you want to make sure that they know that you're there to support them, like, put your head up and look around. It was one of the most humbling experiences I've had from a physical standpoint, but then the mental fuck of being out there early in the morning and going through that. It was really, really incredible. So I thought I'd share that moment with you guys. It was really cool. And then I wanted to go into this book. The reason why we're going to read this book is because I sat through really, really cool keynotes over the last couple of days, and everything from scaling to downsizing businesses, to marketing, to branding, to AI, and everything in between. And I thought it was really, really powerful. You guys, we come to this business, and sometimes, unfortunately, we have excuses. We have excuses for whatever reason. We buy into that. We're all great salespeople. We're going to sell ourselves on all the reasons why we're going to go out there, show up in a big way, or we're going to sell ourselves on all the reasons why we are not. Well, there was this guy that almost died 4 times. He was a paraplegic, couldn't use his legs, and almost died 4 times. Sepsis, he fell off a ladder, broke his back, all these things. And just, he was on stage. We had to help him get on stage. And he told his story. And his story was so beautiful, how he fought and how he fought and how he fought. And at the depths of despair, when he couldn't use his legs, what he did is he turned to the gym. He would work on his arms, work on his upper body, work on his pull-ups, work on his core. And know what he did? When he was at the lowest times in his life, he signed up for an Ironman. You got to imagine this, a triathlon. For us that can stand up and can walk and can swim and can run and can bike, imagine how hard that is on us. But imagine dragging your legs through the water 2 miles on a swim. Right? He said, I couldn't use my legs. Everything had to be my upper body. And I finished, and he finished first in Ironman. First in Ironman. So he'd get out of the water. They'd carry him to his chair. He would ride the chair. They'd put him on his bike. He would ride with his arms. And you think how depleted he was. Plus, he had an esophagus that had been damaged through all these surgeries. And so he couldn't eat, because if he would eat, he would get sick. And so in the moment, he was out there doing a Ironman on an empty stomach, 0 in his stomach. Imagine how depleted he was. Every single muscle in his body, he said, was freezing up, was pulsing, was shocking, was locking up, was locking up, was locking up. And he's like, I chose to do these hard things. I chose to do these hard things because I got to get another chance at this thing called life. And his message was so powerful for me to hear, so powerful for me to hear. He said, I make no excuses. What's yours? He's like, I couldn't fucking walk. What's yours? Right? And he silenced the crowd. Silenced the crowd. And through all of that, after he did the Ironman in his chair, he said, why? Why am I going to allow myself to accept that I cannot stand? And so what did they do? He went to his doctor. They gave him an exoskeleton that allowed him to start walking. So his thighs didn't get atrophy, started working his thigh muscles and being upright. And then what happened? Something happened internally, and he got sepsis again, and he almost died. He almost died again. And what did they do? They put him in a wheelchair, and they said, we're going to put you in this wheelchair. And he said, no. Even when he was once again facing death, he refused to have them put him in a wheelchair because he didn't want his legs to get atrophy and not be able to walk again. And this dude stood up. He walked throughout the entire event. He was the first person at the gym at 4 a.m. And guess what he was working? He was working legs. Working legs. And so seeing him and hearing this guy, his name's Daniel Fitness, look him up on social media. It just made me think, like, why do we make excuses when we have somebody out there that faced death 4 times and is saying, I have 0 excuses. I will show up. He is the #1 agent and #1 team in his market. And he had all the odds stacked up against him, all the odds. And so I wanted to bring that information to you and that message and that reminder that, you guys, there's people out there that have it way worse than us, that are out there that are winning at a very, very high level. And so you have to ask yourself, and you sit with that. I don't need your answer today. If you are giving this business any excuses, if you're dragging your feet on getting on social media, not going out there knocking doors, not cleaning out your database, like, why do you have so many excuses? And what does it take for you to overcome that? What does it take for you to break through? What does it take for you to harness a Daniel Fitness type of energy and say, you know what? I'm going to go out there and get things done. I'm no longer going to make excuses about my life, about my business, about my talents, about what I'm capable of. I will live in a world that I am super stoked and I am inspired by all the things that I've done, and I will not sit in regret. This guy had every reason to stop, and he still has every reason to stop, but he refuses to. He says, I will do hard things. I will walk in the fire and I will embrace that as a part of who I am and a part of my DNA. So I wanted to share that thought, that sentiment, those opening regards before we get into the book and anything past the conversation right now. Does anybody have any thoughts, contribution, or insight on anything that I've shared with you guys this morning? We'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. We'd love to hear your contributions. And I'll actually drop his Instagram handle. That way you can see who he is and give him a follow. The guy is a true inspiration. Let's go, D. Bledsoe. What do you have?
Nope, as always, right on time. Last night I was working on my project, and the sentiment was where I was at was to decrease the excuses, egos, and extras. 3 E's, because you always have to have themes when you're writing. But reduce the 3 E's, and you'll see more success. And like, it came to me because that's exactly what I did, and I started experiencing more growth. And then the proof of that, like, I started doubling down on these property tours, the videos that I've been posting on Instagram. I got a lead from TikTok last week for a listing, went on the listing appointment. As long as they don't do this crazy reverse mortgage that they're talking about, I just got a listing off of a TikTok video, on top of countless buyer leads that I got from this one video. But why all this time I hadn't been doing those property tours, I don't know, but it actually works. So getting out of your comfort zone and the continuum of just what you're doing that may be working slowly or not working at all, and trying something new can bring results. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
D. Bledsoe, how many years have you been creating content now? Consistently?
At least 5 now.
5 now. And he would post and he would post and post. Like, right, he's like, that didn't get much traction, but I'm still doing it. And then he made some small shifts, right? And those small shifts have now made a massive impact on his business. And I'm seeing the views and I'm seeing the shares and I'm seeing the likes and I'm seeing the comments, bro. Like, lean into that. Fashion, music, home tours, man, I think that you're onto something really, really special. What was the third E? I got 2. I wrote them down. I want to make sure that I get all 3. Ego, excuses, and what was the third?
Extras.
Extras. Ooh, man, this is really, really good. I appreciate you sharing, big dog. Let's go over to Blessing. Blessing, what do you have for us, my friend?
Having a problem with the mute button. The first part, first of all, the fact that you didn't know what to expect from a Navy SEAL workout is wild, because that's choosing violence on a different level. But the part where you said that you have to just look up. You have to look up and see what else is happening around you. You have to look up and see who's struggling and speak into them. Because like we all have the ability to get tunnel vision into our own problems and make them feel like the largest things in the world. Like, there's no way around it. We just have this, we can catastrophize our issues. But what I've been noticing over the past few months is that once you recognize, like, where you are, you're not alone. If you think that you're alone, like, you're convincing yourself of a lie. And when you look up and you see that not only, yes, there are people struggling in this that you can speak into, but like, there's people that are thriving in this business. And instead of letting it be a condemnation of you, like a woe is me type moment, like, actually ask the hard question. What is it that they're doing that I'm not doing, that I've not been willing to do? And decide, Decide either that you're going to take that step forward or you're going to just continue to sit in the complaints of it. Demi, and your 3 E's, like, they hit so hard because the only reason, and this, I'm not even gonna disclaimer it. The only reason you may not be successful in this business is because there is something you're just not willing to do. The blueprint and the plan is so simple. And once you just actually let go of all of the excuses, everything that you're afraid of, all of the hard work, because it is hard. The business is easy, but it's hard to face yourself. It's hard to face the things that you may not love about yourself, that you have tried to avoid or tried to run from. But the thing is that once you face it, it becomes like that brick wall is actually just, it's cardboard. You can run right through it. And on the other side of that, you can then reach back and bring all those people that are struggling along with you. Everyone that may have been in that same situation. It's not just career, it's life. Everything that you are going through, you are uniquely qualified to reach back and help someone else with. So that keep your head up is life-changing because you can see exactly where you've been and who you can help forward. And if we do nothing else, whether it's helping our clients buy a house or helping a fellow agent get to the next place, that is why we're here. It is a reach back and pull someone forward, but look up and just don't sit in your own bubble.
Man, really, really powerful. I appreciate you both sharing on this beautiful morning, and thank you guys. So I want to shift gears in the conversation, then we're going to get into action and what action you guys took this week and what were the results in your business. But before we do that, I think a lot of our success is rooted in what this person identified as signaling. You see, back in the days, if we go back to like the 60s, in the 60s, people talked a lot about vibrations, right? We were very keen on vibrations. And that was a word that was thrown around a lot at that time. Well, over the years, we have gotten further and further away. Now you meet those people, they're super, super aligned. They feel energy. They talk about energy. They talk about vibrations. They talk about frequency. But what this person spoke about on stage is that over the years, we have gotten further and further away from our signaling, and we are not as conscious about our signaling as we were at one time. So this person is a keynote speaker. She's a renowned author. She is a Harvard business specialist, and her name is Vanessa Van Edwards. I want you guys to give her a follow, and there's a book that I want you to purchase. It's called Cues. And so what she talked about is she talked about all the cues from our body language physiology. We've talked about that. She's talked highly about warmth and competence, right? There is things that we say that feel that we are coming across as the person that is competent to take a listing, to walk you through the buying process. But you can know all of that and be super competent. However, you're low on the warmth scale. And so what people will feel is that there's something that is missing here. There's something that's missing here. Have you ever met that person that just came across as super, super warm? When you met them, there was just a warmth about that person. Have you guys ever met that person? Right? And when you think about that, what made them warm? Right? It was the way that they greeted you, the smile, the first question, the big dog, whatever it was in that moment, they made you feel really, really warm. And so we have to think about the signals that we're putting off to our consumers every single day, with the signals that you're putting out to each other interpersonally, the signals that you put off on this Zoom call. How are you showing up? Now, unfortunately, I'm not able to see what you guys are doing with your hands. I'm not able to see any other posture than typically right here. So the signaling comes from your eyes, the posture, and what you're actually saying when you have an opportunity to speak. Those are all the signals that you're putting off. But if you're not on camera, you're not here, how would somebody want to even run a referral to you if they can't see you and you're not showing up in a very, very huge way for yourself and for your business? So you have to think about these things. When you enter into a conversation, when you enter into a room, when you get yourself on camera, when you go to a networking event, what is that type of signal that you're putting off? When you ask somebody, hi, how are you? Good, great. versus what's the best thing about your life right now? What's one thing that you're excited to do before wintertime comes? Those are different types of warmth conversations, and it's a different type of feeling. It's a different type of signal. So what I want us to do is I want us to read this book, Cues. The way that she broke down things on stage the other day, I thought was really, really powerful. I sat through a lot of conversations over the last couple of days as an MC, and that was one that really, really stood out to me. And I took some notes. I just took some screenshots, and I'm going to put this all into a framework. We're going to read the book together, but I want to share some of my screenshots with you guys, just so you guys can get a general understanding of where I want this conversation to go. So I put some things up on the screen here. This was one thing that I thought was really, really powerful. Competence without warmth is likely to leave us feeling suspicious, right? You could go on a listing presentation and you can have all of the facts, figures, data, historical knowledge, archive data about your market, but there was zero warmth. And what's going to happen is that consumers are going to say, this is really good information. We need to think about it. And when you have a consumer that says we need to think about it, what is lacking is probably there's some warmth that is lacking from the conversation. Here's another screenshot that I thought that was really powerful. Your warmth and confidence cues trigger other people's warmth and confidence, right? You've met that person that as soon as they open up their mouth, or as soon as they waved, or as soon as they went in for a hug, and the smile, you're just like, damn. Something about that person just made me feel warm and made me want to open up and made me want to communicate more and experience something. Or I felt a shift when I was in that person's company. A couple other. Here's some warm words. And what was really cool is that she had us evaluate our last 5 emails. Now, typically when we write emails, sometimes we're in a rush. We want to put out a message really quick. Maybe that message was very short, sweet, concise, and to the point. Now, I get that. But sometimes those messages are best for a text message. So she had us look at our emails and see how warm are our emails. What types of words are we using in our emails? What type of words are we using in our communication? When we introduce ourselves, when we're on stages, when we're on Zoom calls. Hi, friends, let's connect. Cheers. I'm open, together, excited, collaborate, happy to be here, best, both. These are words that are warm words. Here's competent words. Productive, let's brainstorm. Effective, get ready. We'll power through. Efficient, lead, knowledge, streamline. You see, those are good words as well, but if you're only leading with these words and no warmth of words, what's going to happen is that we will leave people suspicious, and that happens in our communication. We can predict someone's charisma level based on the types of words that they use. Listen, you all have levels of charisma. Whether or not you are expressing your levels of charisma, that is on you. Well, how do you do that? You do that by truly, truly being okay with expressing who you are, walking in a room, saying hello, introducing yourself, putting a smile on your face, lighting up your eyes a little bit more when you meet somebody. There's small little things that we can do to make sure that people are feeling our charisma. A couple other things that I wanted to share with you, and then we're going to go and shift the conversation. What are the first 10 words that you say? When you communicate with somebody, are you the person that is always spitting out words that feel negative? I'm so busy. My schedule is crazy. I am just stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm burnt out. Terrible traffic today. God, it started raining today when I was on the road. Bad weather. Sorry, I'm late. You see, think about the words that you're giving off, because those words have a signal that is attached to them. And here was some iterations of this. I'm so busy. I'm looking forward to this. My schedule is crazy. Happy to be here. I'm so stressed. There's still so many things that we can change versus the things that we do that come naturally to us. And so when she was speaking, it just had some aha moments. You hear the people, same shit, different day. Or no, I'm really, really excited about where we are today. I'm excited about what we're doing. And here's some questions that really kind of shifted the room when she asked them out loud. What is the first question you ask? How are you? How's it going? What do you do? Think about yourself in maybe a networking situation or prospecting situation, or just on a dating scene, whatever it is. What's good? What's the highlight of your day? Think about that. Think about when your kids come home from school. Hey, honey, how are you? How's the day? It was good. All right. You're probably going to get a simple answer. It happens all the time with Kai. And I want more. but I need to ask better questions. What was the highlight of your day? What's your big win? You guys, when you come into group coaching, what's a big win? Give me a personal win, professional win. I want you guys to share, grab the mic and share. Working on anything exciting these days. In our event, we had to turn to the person to the right of us and ask them, what are you working on that's exciting these days? And they were so excited to share. What happens when somebody says, what are you working on exciting? You get lit up. You want to talk about it. I'm working on a new campaign. I'm doing this. I'm working on the seller thing. I just took my family on vacation. I'm going to Top Golf with the kids. Whatever it is, share. And when you share and you ask the right questions, people are going to be excited to have that communication with you. And have any fun plans coming up, right? It just shifts the mood of the conversation. And so what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to buy that book. We're going to talk a lot about communication over the course of the next quarter. The things that we say, the things that we do not say, nonverbal cues, how we literally have conversations. I used to work with a lady that every time I spoke with her, she would lip the words that I fucking said, and I hated it. So say, for example, Jeff is talking to me, and every time I say something or Jeff's talking, I'm like lipping his words. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. But they talked about the nonverbal cues. This one, the shaking of the head, right? And then the shaking of the head too fast, the blinking of the eyes, the occasional, interesting, I'm with you, shaking of the head, leaning in a little bit, tilting of the head, right? Because you're curious versus, Now, if you tilt your head a little bit, you can't do this because it's really hard to do. And all these nonverbal cues that related to communication at a very, very high level, which we don't think about enough. It starts from the signaling, and then we're conscious about every single thing that we're doing. Where were my eyes when we started to talk? What was I doing with my facial expressions? You guys can see it. You look at people and be like, oh my God, like, look what they do with their eyes. Like, look how they crease their forehead. Every time they get into deep conversation, they're doing something like all these cues. So what I want to do over the course of the next 3 months is I want to dive into communication, the ways that we communicate verbally as well as non-verbally, so we can truly, truly improve. I believe that if we can work on our frequency, our vibration, our signaling, and how we're showing up in the world, and then we can really fine tune the way that we communicate with other human beings, each of us are going to see an uptick in our sales. Because at the root of everything we do in this business, it's becoming clear communicators. But that's not always the words that we say. It's not always the words that we say. Now, that's a fraction of it, but it's not always that. So I want to share those thoughts with you, that insight, because you're not always able to go to these events. And I might not be able to go to these events, but the ones that I do, I want to bring my cliff notes back to you guys. I want to share the things that I'm learning, because in order for me to continuously grow and to gain new knowledge, I got to sit in these rooms and I got to dissect it and then bring it back to you guys. And so I put together some framework. We're going to be going into this on Monday. I put together a whole slideshow, but I'll hold off on that until Monday, because I want to make sure that we just have a conversation about this today, and then we'll go further into it on Monday. But before I go to you guys about anything action, any thoughts, contributions, insights on the conversation thus far, because you know your boy's fired up when I come back from an event. So I'd love to hear from you guys if you have any key thoughts, key takeaways, insights on the conversation thus far. And do not be shy. Go ahead and throw your hand up or just take yourself off of mute and get involved in the conversation. Going once, going twice. Let's go, Jeff.
I mean, that the verbal cues and everything is so true. And especially, I mean, what you preach on this call is be on camera, because, a blank screen, of course, you don't get anything from that. And it's why I love Team Fast and going to the events that you guys do, because, you see people face to face and you really get a sense of them. And it starts before what even comes out of my mouth, or, I know so much of the communication is electronic nowadays, but it is like that. You said that something about when you started this conversation, that vibe and that feeling that people give you, it's before you even say a word. It's that handshake. It's that, how you look at somebody, how, when you walk in the room, what's your vibe when you walk in the room? Are you kind of like looking around, or are you like, kind of walking in and having a presence? So yeah, I'm anxious to, get this book and listen to it, read it, listen to it.
Huge. Just buy the book or get the Audible, whatever you guys want to do, but we're going to listen to that together. I look at this as something that is it's a practice. And so when I walk into a room, I want to make sure that I'm focused to where I want people to like feel the energy. It's like I feel like it's a beam. I want to give it to you. I want to give it to you. I'm going to oscillate through the room. I like literally want to radiate that. That's my goal. Right. But like we all have that ability to do so. As soon as I enter the room, the smiles, the handshake, the hi, how are you? Give me a hug. Like it's all intentional. I want people to feel that energy. And that's part of my communication. You see, a huge part of my communication is energy, right? That's a huge part of my branding. It's energy. So I make sure that people feel that. And that's really important that we talk about these things and continue to talk about these things. Blessing, you had your hand up. Let's go, big dog. What do you got?
I've been listening to Vanessa's like YouTube, her shorts for a really long time. And it's always interesting because she has such a broad presence. Like if you watch her on video, she takes up so much space and all of it is intentional as far as being the expert on presence and communication. So I'm so excited that we're going to be doing this here because there's so much that we already do that we may not be aware of to just turn up a little bit. And that makes such a big difference. And just really excited to be talking about this because it's the velvet of conversation. It's what makes you you, but like turned up a little bit more. So I'm really excited about this one.
I thought about this too, and I'll come to Ilana in a second. I thought about this like warmth and competence, right? People always say like, how do you get along with Kenny? Like, how do you work with him for so long, right? Because Kenny doesn't come across as that warm, but he is super, super competent. But once you spend a little bit of time with Kenny, you get to see his warmth, right? You get to experience it and all the things that we have provided as a company, right? It demonstrates his warmth, but it's like sometimes that's why people don't connect with Kenny is because they're looking for the warmth. They're looking for the warmth. And if they don't spend that much time with them, they're wondering like, what's up with that guy? Oh, he means well. He's a great guy. Like, yeah, he's a little hard to connect with. Yeah, you just got to spend a little bit more time with them. So people are always questioning that, and I get that all the time. And so it's really it was eye-opening to think about like warmth and confidence and how we come across and the questions that we ask our consumers. There was a girl on stage that when she goes on a presentation, buyer or seller presentation, she asked all these questions about the family, about when graduation is, how long they've been together. Oh my goodness, where did you get married? What are the dogs' names? Oh, Dakota and Viking, wonderful. She stores all of this information. Warmth. And then she puts all of those notes into a CRM. And as soon as she gets home and after she's done with the appointment, if you have dogs or if you have cats, you instantly, within 24 hours, get a present in the mail from a company that she has a relationship with that does these squeaky dog toys or cat toys, and it comes on behalf of her. Great meeting you. So excited to help you guys in this journey. Here's 2 gifts for Dakota and Viking. Hopefully they like it. Tell Auntie Jen that I sent them to her. And every single time. So the whole presentation is wrapped in warmth, punctuated by the home and the reality of their situation from like a transactional side of it. Warmth. And obviously she demonstrates her competence, but man, it was such a powerful experience. Let's go to Ilana and then we'll go over to Glenn Riggs.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back.
Good morning, sunshine.
Hi. If you could repeat the name of the book, because I saw that in the chat and I didn't catch it either. That would be helpful.
Yep, I'm gonna actually just put the link in the chat.
And then something you keep repeating that I think expands beyond is you keep saying when you walk into the room, you have to exude this. I think you have to exude it all the time. You never know where you're going to be. And for me, I'm kind of like Kenny, where I may not come off as the warmest person, but once you get to know me, you know I'm kind of like the big fireplace hug. Where I really let my guard down, and it's very difficult for me. I come from a family that your walls are up real high. So it's taken a lot of years for me to push them down. But when I'm at the dog park is when I am my most me, because I'm not thinking business, right? So then I'm just like in conversation. I'm much more comfortable talking about dogs than anything in the world. Well, I have gotten more business from the dog park than anywhere in my life. And you just helped me make that connection. I was at the dog park yesterday in Sonoma, randomly talking about how I bought a house up here because I don't like being in the fog. And the guy next to me goes, "Oh, I live in the city too. We used to come and go from the city, and now we just bought a house up here. We're here all the time." "Oh, what neighborhood do you live in?" "They live in my neighborhood." "What a coincidence. I sold a house 3 doors down from them." "What a coincidence. They have an empty house that's been sitting empty for 15 years, worth about $4 million. They'd like to sell it, but they need a contractor to come in and fix a bunch of stuff, and they don't have the bandwidth to do it. They really need a realtor contractor to come in and fix it." I was like, I might know someone. Guess who has a listing appointment in that house? Like the listing's already mine. But it was because I was just my relaxed chatting, nothing. I at the dog park when the dogs are playing, you're like your goofiest self. You're in your dirty clothes. There's no, like, I get real nervous, and I think my nerve comes across as intensity or whatever, but like when you're your most natural at all times, and this is what you really excel in, Elias, it doesn't matter if you meet at the grocery store, online, coaching, whatever, you're just like a big warm fireball coming in. And I just made that connection that that's why I do so well at the dog park. It's random, but that's what it is.
I absolutely love this.
So,
I absolutely love this.
yeah.
And I think that we all have this signal, but what happens is we get nervous. And what happens when we get nervous in social situations, what we do is we shelter in, we seek shelter, right? Like, oh my God, because why? Now I'm exposed and now I'm vulnerable. And oh my goodness. And that's scary for a lot of us, right? Especially if we have trauma, we have things that we haven't dealt with in our life. It's like, oh my God, now I'm fully exposed. And it's scary. It is really, really scary. And I remember 8 years old. I remember Silas, right? Silas's age, and I remember being that person and like opening up, and then like it's just a part of me. And so when I see people struggling with that, I know I can help. Just because it's been a lifelong mission to be able to be expressive and be who I am and be comfortable in that skin. When you meet me online, it's the same person you're going to meet when you come and meet me in person. So I appreciate that, Alana. Really good stuff. Let's go over to Glenn Riggs. Glenn Riggs, you threw your hand up, big dog. Thoughts, contribution, insight on the conversation.
Yeah, so this week I had a unique opportunity. I spent 10 hours at the police department. I was a part of
Who bailed you out?
Nobody. I wasn't in trouble. I wasn't in trouble. The police chief actually asked me to take part in future captain interviews. So I was selected as one of 9 people. I was with other police chiefs. I was with the fire captains. I was with general managers of the park district. I was in a really cool space that I got asked to be part of this committee. And what they did is they divided us up into 3 groups. There were the police chiefs in one interview panel. There were the technical people, so the fire, paramedic, those people were in another panel. And then they put us community people in another panel. And we got to interview 8 different candidates for captains. And as they went through, I got to see all types of personalities. And then when we came together with all 3 groups at the end, it was amazing to see how the different groups chose a different leader from the pack. And it was like we connected really well with this guy that was super, super confident and in a suit, and he came across as confident and competent and friendly. Like he was our number 2, but the number 1 guy, our one thing that we said is we wanted him to smile more. We wanted him to have fun, but he had like all of the other skills. So um, like I love that our police community chooses to do it this way because it's taking all of our different personalities, right? The technical people had no problem putting the guy in the suit at the very end, right? The guy with the great personality was at the end. They were looking for the person that could do. But it was and the coolest part was a couple people asked me for my business card on the way out, and I gave it to some of the other people, and one of the captains go, "Hey, wait, I want a business card too." So, I gave my time openly. Again, I had the liberty to be able to do that. I shut off my phone and just was 100% in that space. But to go in with the confidence and competence is so so important. Hey, little one.
Yeah, man, really, really good stuff. I love how you're just getting involved on multiple different levels and scales and helping the elderly and being in the community and speaking on panels, and it's really cool to see how much you're evolving and growing and leaning in. That's really cool. You guys, before we start to wrap session, because I want to make sure to respect everybody's time, I saw this quote the other day. They had a silent auction at the resort that we were at, and it was one of the things that you could purchase was a pyramid, and it was the John Wooden's pyramid of success, and I had never seen it, and so I took a picture of it, and of course I take that and I create something from it. Well, it was a quote on success, and I thought it was really cool. And so it's a pyramid of success, and there was a quote underneath, excuse me. And the quote said this: it said, "Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable of." And when I saw that, I was like, God, I absolutely love that, because if you guys can go to bed at night knowing that you put in the work, you made the calls, you created the social media content, you cleared out the database, you worked on your skills, you did some role playing, came to the office, came for training, and then you rest your head on that pillow at night, you should feel very, very good about the success that you're building. Now, the success might take a little bit of time, but are you doing the work that is necessary for you to be able to have that type of life and feel that and experience that? And so we all know in this game, we are paid in direct correlation to the amount of action that we choose to take. Are we taking the amount of action? Are we doing the things that a successful person would be doing? When you say, I want to make 200,000, 250,000, 300,000, are you doing the actions of that person? Right? You can say it all day long, I want to make $1 million, but do you have $1 million habits, or do you have $30,000 a year habits? You have to ask yourself that. You have to be obsessed with doing the work when no one's looking, when you're off the screen, when no one's sitting with you at home, when you have the option to nap, to snooze, to not get out of bed, to not go to the gym, to not work on your fitness, to not work on your nutrition, to not work your database. You have those choices. The successful people are going to say, you know what? I have to do this. I have to do this no matter what. The unsuccessful people leave it as, I should do this, but I don't do this. Somebody said on stage the other day, she said, stop shooting on yourself. Stop shooting on yourself. And that's something that really stood out for me. Stop shooting on yourself. There's so many things that we know that you should be doing in this business. Turn those things into must. So you guys, I'm going to close with that. And I'm going to go around the room, get a couple of additional key thoughts and key takeaways from our time together today. Yes, I am fired up. Yes, I'm excited, but I live in an excited state. I live in a state of gratitude because I want that to be something that other people feel. I feel it. And if I feel it, I want other people to feel it that are in my environment. So let's go around the room. Let's get some thoughts. Sare, welcome back, my friend. Once again, my condolences to you, to your family, but it looks like you were able to go and have some experiences and be close with the family. So welcome home, my friend. Let's get one key thought, one key takeaway from you.
Thank you, Elias, and happy Friday. I'm still
Happy
adjusting back
Friday.
to the time zone, but yeah, key takeaway is I'm getting myself that book, Cues by Vanessa Edwards. And then I love what D. Bledsoe shared about the 3 E's, removing the 3 E's, the egos, the excuses, and the extras. And then the other takeaway from Blessing that she shared was the business is easy, but the hard part is facing yourself. And I feel like that's where I am at right now, is just feeling like I'm behind because of everything that I've just gone through. I'm really grateful that I was able to be with my grandmother for the last few days before she transitioned. But I'm also feeling like I'm behind with, making calls and getting back on track. And so I think I'm just being hard on myself and trying to give myself grace. And, I'm getting back into the rhythm again. I'm happy to be back on the call with all of you. And I'm excited to be in a training today in the office. And so I'm just getting back into the rhythm and really getting into the business like I was doing. So I'm just excited to be back and just getting on a grind again.
My friend, it's important that you took that time and you were with your family, and it's just it's just getting back into the swing of things, and you'll pick right back up, my friend. You needed to be there. Your family needed you there. And so, once again, our condolences to you and to your family, but welcome home. We're excited that you're back, and we're excited to have you back in the space. Let's go, Melody. Melody, last thought, key thought, contribution, takeaway from our call today. And then we'll go, Princess. Sorry, I didn't see your hand there.
Yeah, I was really excited to hop on this call today because I wasn't able to make it to the event, and I knew that you would come with some fire key takeaways today, as you always do. And so it was really cool to see, and I'm really excited to dive in more into this topic. I'm just ordered the book, so I'm with you, big dog. And this is one of my favorite conversations on group coaching in a really long time. So I'm really, really happy to hear your takeaways from it. And me personally, it's funny because I have been diving into a couple of new books lately, and I promised myself that I wouldn't start a new one until I finished these. So I'm gonna order it, but I'm not gonna allow myself to actually start it until I finish the ones that I've already opened, because I have this habit of starting a book and then halfway through I'll just kind of get bored and then I'll let it go and I'll start a new one, and then before you know it, I have a whole shelf of books that are just halfway read. So I'm really excited though, and this, I mean, you did a really good job of getting me excited to read it. So thank you for sharing.
I'm a micro reader. Like I'll read a book, but I love reading chapter one book, chapter one book. I just like micro reading, but whatever works for you, my friend. I appreciate you being here. I cannot believe how big Arash is. He is, how old is he now?
He's gonna be 1 year old in 2 weeks. I can't even
It's
believe it.
wild how fast this year has gone, but he is super, super handsome. Appreciate you being here, Mel. Let's go. Last contribution, Princess. Princess, key thought, key takeaway from our time together today. Let's roll, big dog.
You thought key takeaway. Everything that we've mentioned, it really has settled in like for me, just knowing where I'm at with my business. Was blessing. We have a special day today. We are opening escrow on our listing. So super excited about that, and also got into contract again on Tuesday. So having two
Whoa.
escrows in 1 week, it
Let's
is, man.
Okay, you can't see it, my friend, but I got goosebumps for you. Oh, you can
Big
see it. Look at
dog,
that.
big dog, yeah, for
Ah,
sure. So,
I got him on both arms. The hair's growing.
oh man, look, when you were like, oh, we fired up, ready to see, what action did you take this week? So I was ready. But no, just knowing that, not making the excuses, still showing up, even though there may be days where you don't get anybody in that open house, or where you get a Zillow lead and, they schedule the appointment and they don't show up. So still showing up and still not making any excuses for yourself. Keep grinding, and obviously, things will happen. And sheesh, this is a good, nice little early birthday present, because next week, I'm turning up a little bit. Last
Let's go.
20. So
You
yeah, I'm
deserve it.
excited.
You
I'm
deserve
excited.
it, my friend. Well, congratulations. If these weren't prescription, I would throw them against the wall like that guy does in the video. But they are prescription, so I'm going to save these. All right. But listen, you guys, it's wonderful to be back. It's great to see everybody. Let's go out there and handle our business this weekend. If you need anything, give me a text. And as always, my friends, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision to make today a day that truly matters. Peace and love, my friends.